Hey guys, Dave Tenedorio, House of Warriors, Martial Arts and Kickboxing. We're on Warrior Wisdom number 17, I believe this episode is. So we're growing along. My weekly insight into martial arts, either the technical side or the political and martial arts kind of organization side. So if you see the title of the video, it's not all clickbait, okay? It's actually real. I do feel, in my opinion, as the graphic says over here, or maybe over here, depending on where I position myself, the dumbest thing the Muda Kwan did. I'm talking about the Huangqi organization known as Tangsudo Muda Kwan and later Subakdo Muda Kwan. And that is the dumbest thing they did, changing their name. And I'm going to explain why it was the dumbest thing. So years and years ago, I remember I started out, it was like 1989 in Tangsudo Muda Kwan in Homestead, Florida, at a studio called the House of Warriors. So when I reopened, I took the name because I like the name and I think it's kind of catchy in today's world. So if you don't like it, it's cool. Sorry, it doesn't matter to me. But so we went to the House of Warriors. We learned Tang Sudo, and I started seeing different Tang Sudo guys in the martial art world. But it was weird because I didn't see him at our events. I didn't see him at our organization. And then I got told, well, there's different Tang Sudo groups and breakaways from the original source material. And I said, okay. I was only 14, so I didn't know. And as we go along, I become a Don member, I become an instructor, I become kind of a studio manager. I remember I was a second Don, so it was about it was like 1994. Yeah, close to 95. So I was close to second. I was going to test for second because I tested in 93, I tested for Chodan. So it was like 95, I tested for second Dan. And so around that time, 94, 95, there was this shift to say, we're changing our name to Subakdo Muda Kwan. No more Tang Sudo. We won't say Tang Su anymore. We say Subak. I didn't know what to think. I was like, I don't like that name. And it was like, I don't like it at all. I like Tang Sudo. I don't like Subakdo. What is that? You know, and they said, well, because our organization's always been the Korean Subakdo Association, and then there's a little history. It's famous in martial arts. They change history, but if you really go back, the term Subakdo and Muda Kwan didn't exist. It was Hwasudo and Huangqi, and in that they never used the term Korean Subakdo until maybe the 60s, and that was because of a political problem that they wanted to kind of identify as a more classical Korean martial art, using the term Subak from Subaki, but it was not a good idea. So here's why. One, when you come accustomed, Americans are the most progressive country, but the slowest to change at the same time. So majority of the practitioners were in America, and you're telling them now we're no longer Tang Sudo, we're going to be Subakdo. It's like, okay. Second, they said it was because we're tired of being identified as part of the Tang Sudo community. Because there's other groups, they form their own Tang Sudo groups, and people get confused, and we're the real deal, so we're going to be Subakdo, and they can have the Tang Sudo name. And it was like, but I have some buddies from those groups, and you make it sound like they're evil. It's not their fault. Their instructors broke away from you guys and formed different groups, and maybe they're doing things better than us. But that's what they said. And it was kind of hurtful because a lot of us did have friends in other martial art groups that were brother Tang Sudo, but maybe not in the same organization. It was funny because outside of our organization, all those independent Tang Sudo groups had more brotherhood. It was incredible. I was like, well, why don't we have that? Of course, it was a bunch of elitists running our organization. And they would put that dogma in you. And the third, they just basically didn't account for what people had put their heart and soul into. They say, well, first off, they said, and this was a good point brought by a member, a very high-ranking member, said, I've had my studio at that time for 20 years. It was such and such as Tang Sudo. Now you're telling me I have to change my name because now it won't be Tang Sudo. It'll be Subakdo, so I'll have to be such and such as Subakdo. People are either going to think, A, did he go out of business and another school come in? Did he sell his school and now it's a different person? Or did he go out of business? Or I think I mentioned that. Or did they change styles? They won't understand. The general public won't understand. And the thing about martial arts that they forgot, it's basic marketing. You may love an ad that you created. You may love something so much. You put so much heart and effort and money into it. And Joe Polish is a marketing guy, will tell you, don't fall in love with it. Because if it doesn't work, you can't keep putting money in it. It's not going to work. It may be the most prettiest thing and the most philosophically sound thing you've created, and nobody gets it. That happens. Then you move on to something else. It's more basic and to the point, and everybody loves it. Well, here's the thing. Name recognition. They wanted to brand the name Subakdo, they said. You can't brand something that has no brand, that has no oomph. Tang Soo-do had a lot of oomph to it. Tang Soo-do had Howard Jackson, had Chuck Norris, Pat Johnson, Bobby Burbage. You had all these guys in the open tournament circuit using the term Tang Soo-do. And Chuck Norris was once part of that organization, and he felt like he wasn't really appreciated, and he didn't need him. He still didn't need him. And it's interesting how they changed that name. They alienated half their own organization who decided that, maybe we want to be Tang Soo-do. And then alienated a whole martial art community that could have probably been open to coming with us to events, all because they don't want to be recognized as part of them. We don't want to be associated with them. That was the attitude. Dumbest thing that could happen. Membership completely dropped. 95, it was a big breakaway. I won't mention the martial arts name because everyone kind of figured that out. Made another organization, and he used the term Tang Soo-do. And he was a very big member with a lot of schools, and he took a lot of schools with him. They wanted to join and be part of his group now. That happened. And now to the point that when I was in that organization, and I made this point, our national tournaments had dwindled to less than 600 and then to 400 nationally attending. And then when I left, I heard it went down to 200. I mean, a national tournament with 200 people attending, competitors ever met, that's not good. And they also had an issue with member schools closing down. And now this year in 2018, they extended an olive branch. They want to bring all the brother Tang Soo-do schools under one umbrella and say, let's just be friends and get together. And I think it's too little too late. I don't think it'll ever happen because I think their attitude is they still want to establish control over them because they feel they're the source material because Hwang Ki is the father of their organization's head. That's fine. I just don't think it'll ever happen. I think it's too little too late. And I think that, in my previous video, organizations are dumb. And I think what we need is just a brotherhood, not a name. Just keep the name. The name was what kept us together. Alienating all those people was not a good move for anybody. Okay. So that's it, guys. That's the dumbest thing that Muda Kwan has ever done. That's my Warrior Wisdom Talk. See you next week. If you want, please leave a comment down below. And you don't have to agree with me. It's okay. You can put the hate too. It's all right. But it's my opinion, as I said. So have a great week anyway. Keep it kicking.